Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back to the Whiskey Cove. And on today's episode, we review Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend Bourbon. Run the video. Alright then folks, welcome back to the Whiskey Cove and welcome back to another new and exciting review of Joseph Magnus Cigar Blend Bourbon. As you can see, I have the bottle here in front of me. So before we get into today's video, hopefully everybody out there is having a fantastic start to the new year's. Thank you so much for everybody who subscribed to the channel, like, comment, and everything. So far, things are going really well. The lottery or the giveaway was a great success. So thank you everybody for watching the channel, watching the videos. We appreciate that here at the Whiskey Cove.
It's hard to breathe, but that's alright. Hush.
So on today's episode, we wanted to review this bottle. So I've had this sitting on my shelf for a little while. I've sampled a different bottle before, which was very good. And I'm hoping this one stacks up equally just as much. Now, if we take a look at the bottle here, has really nice brown and bronze fonts on the front. All of the Joseph Magnus bottles are all exactly the same. You kind of have this like ridged top of the bottle here. You have like a clear plastic and a nice gold and bronze label on the top there. This is coming in at 60.13% ABV or 120.26 proof. This is batch 160, bottle number 88. Again, this is the Cigar Blend Bourbon finished in Armagnac, sherry, and cognac casks. So a little bit about this whiskey. MSRP on this is about $220, which is right in line with what I paid for it. It's a blend of 11 and 18-year-old bourbons from Kentucky and Indiana. So MGP and another unknown source that I was not able to find out. And again, this is finished in Armagnac, sherry, and cognac, so that triple cask finish there. It was originally developed by Nancy Farley, who's known as the Nose in the whiskey and rum industry. So if you have a nickname like the Nose, you kind of have a good nose to know what you're doing, that's for sure. And then she's now, I believe, as of this filming, the master blender down in Still Austin, which is why there's a lot of people talking about the good stuff that's coming out of there, and that doesn't surprise me at all. So let's get this bottle cracked and let's get this juice in the glass here. And like I said, it does have a clear film on top, so let's see if we can navigate that here. And you just tear it, pretty straightforward, nothing too complicated even for my mind here. Cool, let's see how the cork pop is, shall we? Not a bad one, pretty low, but all in all, not too bad. It is a synthetic cork? Yeah, it is a synthetic cork, which does stand up a little bit better than regular corks, but I'm not a big fan of synthetics because I don't particularly want the plastic in my drink. However, it does do a pretty good job at that. Let's get this whiskey into the Speyside Whiskey Cove taster here. And let's see what the whiskey looks like in the glass here. So it does also, much like the label, have a pretty light and bronzy kind of color there. It is quite golden, lighter than you would expect from a 60% ABV, but it is triple finish, which we are very much aware of here. So I don't want you, the viewers at home, to think that when it becomes to kind of cigar blend whiskeys or cigar finish whiskeys, that it's really abrasive, you get ashy, smoky, leather and tobacco notes. You might get one or two of them in there, but the whole reason for a cigar blend whiskey or cigar finish whiskey is that it's to complement those stronger notes of a cigar, the spicier, darker, smoky notes of a cigar. I can cut really nicely through that with the Armagnac, the cognac, and the sherry. But with that being said, let's go in for a nose here. A lot of sweetness just straight off the bat here, as you can imagine here with a cigar blend. That sherry note is coming through quite a lot and quite in abundance, that kind of sweet floral sherry note, if you like. I don't have too much experience when it comes to Armagnac, so I can't really relate to any of these notes being like Armagnac, but you do get that kind of a vanilla-y cognac that's in there as well. I think Armagnac's just a play on cognac, don't quote me on it, but I think it has something to do with the cognac family. Very vanilla forward. Not spicy at all. Sweetness of the sherry. Kind of has some more of those similar notes that you would expect with like a Macallan 18, which is a heavily sherry finished Scotch. And reminds me a little bit about that. Definitely has some darker fruits going on in here as well, like a black currant or blackberry, with a small little bit of tartness there as well. Very inviting nose, a very complicated nose. There's a lot going on there, but it does come together quite nice on the nose so far. Let's go in for a taste here. This is Joseph Magnus Cigar blend. First impressions. This almost has a little bit of sourness on the palate there. That coupled with some of the really nice wood notes that are in this whiskey, because remember, it is an 11 and 18-year-old blend. And generally with aged whiskey, my palate does pop off quite a lot because the oakiness kind of hits it. And then the sourness is also there as well. It's not like sour, like a sour sweet, but I think it's coming from like the sherry and probably the cognac and armagnac there as well. And there's a really nice richness to this, a really nice rich caramel, brown sugar, vanilla that runs through the whole thing. Let's go in for another taste here. There is definitely a little bit of spice on that mid palate there, almost like a figgy, allspice Christmas pudding type note there with the vanillas. I guess I'm thinking Christmas flavors quite a lot because when we're in the UK, you have a Christmas pudding and you can pour brandy or cognac over the top, then you light it and you kind of bring it out like that. And it kind of reminds me a little bit about that. You get the raisins, you get those darker cherries and fruits in that cake, you get some of the savory notes. And then after the flame's gone out, you put some custard on there as well, brandy custard. And it's a little sweet, it's a little vanilla, but then there's a little bit of spiciness that cuts through really well. And it reminds me very much of that as well. And I think I'm filming this right at the back end here of 2023. So I think what I might do is that if we do have Christmas pudding this year, I might actually just use this to light on fire and kind of see how that holds up. This review is coming out in January, and this is one of the whiskeys that I wanted to drink around the holiday time. We're clearly achieving that, and I'm definitely going to bring this out around Christmas time too here. I want to go in for one more taste to really pick apart the finish here. And it's just so rich. The back end does dry out, but there's definitely a really nice sweetness that carries on through with that as well. And like I said with the nose, there's really a lot to kind of dissect with this whiskey. You're going to be drinking it for quite a while. I'm sure I'll pick this bottle up a few times, and over the different times I'll try it, I'll probably pick out some other different notes there as well, just because it is very complex. Back end again, that dry oaky note on the tongue, but again you're getting that almost cognac-y, sherry finished, sherry custard that runs through the whole thing there as well. There isn't as much spice throughout the whole thing. It definitely sits in that mid palate there, but it's really, really nice. You get an abundance of like butterscotch, sherry sweetness, a little bit of sourness at the beginning, transitions into some really nice spice and vanilla. That then carries through, the vanilla does, and then you kind of present it more like an oaky, drier bourbon at the back end, as it still carries that vanilla sweetness throughout. It's very well balanced in ways, and also a little bit roller coaster in other areas as well, much like the front palate. It takes on that sweetness journey, and then that switches to spice and then to oak. So you do get the three fundamentals of bourbon: the sweetness, the oak, and then the spice, but it's at different times most of the time throughout this whiskey. So what we like to do is, obviously we like to give it a score for value for money, A through F. A being the best and F being the worst. And when we give this a value for money score, we take everything into account apart from the taste of the whiskey. We talk a little bit about availability, the branding, and what this whiskey generally brings. And then with the score out of 100, 0 being the worst, 100 being the best, we specifically just do the score based upon how the juice or whiskey tastes. With that being said, value for money, this is a $220 bottle of whiskey. This whiskey has gone up every year, about $30 each year. It is quite expensive. This is a premium whiskey. This has been triple finished, so you have to respect that. If you like triple finished or 3 different bourbons blended, then back finished. I'm going to give this a C. It's not deserving of a D, an E, or an F. I think C, right middle of the road. When you see this bottle, you kind of know what you're going to be paying for it. It's a little bit bougie. It's definitely a special a special bottle for special times, and it's definitely a conversation piece there as well. I'm not too keen on how the bottle kind of looks here in synthetic corks. That all looks a little bit cheap for me. The labeling's okay, you get the bronze, the brown, and the gold. Availability is seldom. You sometimes here, sometimes there. You're not gonna find it everywhere. However, I've been able to see these a few more times in Colorado lately. Still a very hard bottle, I'm sure, for some of you folks out there to find. So value for money is a C. So score out of 100. Again, 100 being the best, 0 being the worst. So I do like this whiskey. I think it's like nothing I've ever tasted. I've tried, a couple of the other cigar blends from different companies, and this is almost very different to some other ones that I've tried. And like I said, it takes you on that roller coaster of flavors, but at the end of the day, it leaves you very satisfied. Could it be better? Not for what it is. I think it's probably there or thereabout at the peak of a kind of cigar blend whiskey when you're talking about Armagnac, Cognac, and Sherry. I know other distilleries have been using like Amburan and a couple of other different things. But when we're talking about those three, that almost holy trinity, I guess, if you like, of cigar blends, then it's probably just about as good as it can probably get. That being said, I'm gonna give this an 82 out of 100. Still a very high score, a very complex whiskey, and like I said, I will be trying it multiple times over the next couple of weeks, and I'm sure it will change, and I'll be able to pick up new flavors. But still, 82 out of 100 is a very high score, very interesting bottle of whiskey. So I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you're not a subscriber, please consider doing that, because you'll miss out on these awesome reviews, store hauls, whiskeys to look out for the end of the month, which is what we like to do a lot on this channel. It's a very popular video. It keeps you folks informed about the whiskeys to look out for in the stores, how much you should be paying for them, if it's good, if it's limited, and if you should leave it or not. So a very interesting video, which will come out normally the last week of every month, so make sure you look for that. So as we say on the channel, as we drink through the world's whiskeys, one glass at a time, cheers.